Good evening. It's been a while. Don't worry, I'm still doing MTG projects and MTG decks. I haven't uploaded anything in a while. I've actually been sick. I went right from being sick over the Christmas and New Year's holidays to suddenly having a sinus infection. That's why I'm probably sounding a little weird right now. I'm working on it. It's going to take a little bit of time. I need to stay away from sweets for a little bit, which is hard to do when you work in a bakery. Just breathing in, you get sugar. But yeah. But I am still working on things. Normally I would have tried to build together a few decks and shoot some more videos, and I promise you after this I'm going to shoot a video, just like a Marath, Will of the Wild type of deck, and then kind of, I mean, it's harder to show you what that deck can do, but I can at least upload it for everybody, and I will do that. And yeah, I'm still working on other decks too. But today I had a little bit of a different situation putting everything together. For Christmas I got my father a new PC. Something had happened to his. He has had his for about 5 years. So we needed to get him a new one. Maybe longer than that. But it worked for a good long time, so, you know. Only problem was, it had a built-in wireless adapter and that needed a new router. Because it was wireless N and the router was wireless G. And that router was pretty old too. Well, through a convoluted, complicated series of events, today I helped my grandfather take his dog to the vet for just to kind of get him checked out. And it's a pug. He's a 30-pound pug. He's adorable. Obviously, that breed has a lot of trouble with their eyes and need to get that checked out. But to do so, my grandfather had to hold on to the dog, so I had to drive my grandfather's car for him. And it's actually a van. I hadn't actually driven a van for at least 10 years, but it worked, you know. Everything went okay. So when we got home, well, he actually had me drive to the bank so he could put in his pension check, then drive to McDonald's to get a burger for him and his dog, and a couple of spicy chicken, hot, you know. Anyway, so we went and got something for lunch. While I was talking about that, I told him about what I was doing with my father's PC, and he said, well, if you need one. And I said that I'd need to get him a new router. He said, well, I have one. Because when he converted to his cable company, gave him a new modem that had a wireless built in, and he had a wireless, and he didn't need it anymore. So that ended up working out great. It still ended up taking me 45 minutes to an hour to get everything cooked up, but it works. Works perfectly. I may have to stop and help everybody re-enter in all of their password and stuff like that, but it's, you know, the PC's working. My father can now go on to his radio program websites and see. My father likes to hoard things digitally. He's got gigabytes on gigabytes upon gigabytes of data from old radio shows all the way from the turn of the century, including news broadcasts and things like that, to stuff from like the 80s, and I've even tried to help him find some new stuff from recent years. So, you know, that's that's what my father does for hoarding. It's like, oh, I'm up to, you know, I've gotten a new terabyte hard drive now. It's like, you know, they're not going to have him on hoarders anytime soon. Even then, you know, it's actually kind of neat. He'll play them while we work in the back and baking cakes and cupcakes and stuff. He has those radio plays showing like X-1, Alien Worlds, things like that. They're really amazing, and considering the year that they came out, it gives you an interesting little window to what the world was like at the time they were being made, what they were trying to do. It's amazing how science fiction and fantasy work influences a lot of things, and is influenced by a lot of what happened back then, what would be considered current day. And you get to see famous authors, even actually hear them talking about the different things they're doing. He even has public domain TV shows, you know. So it's really, really interesting. But anyway, I've got his computer set up, so now he's got a new terabyte hard drive that he can download things on and keep everything organized. He even likes to get into musical remixes and things like that. He's, you know, for being 55 years old, he's very technologically savvy, you know. I don't know how else to put it. He just keeps at it. He keeps learning new things. Then besides that, getting all that done, took most of the day to get everything done. Being sick, didn't help. You know, need to focus on the future. Speaking of, I'm finally throwing my hat in and becoming a DCI judge, which is, or at least I'm going to be taking the test after a little while. I want to study up some more. There are 2 level 2 DCI judges locally. Well, not really locally. They're from the area. They're level 2. They can travel. And one of them approached me and said, well, they'd seen me talking on the local Facebook page for our community, and they approached me saying, hey, I think you'd be a good candidate. And that's really high praise. I really appreciate it. I hope I'm not messing anything up by talking about it like this. I'm pretty sure that's how it works anyway. And again, nothing is final. It's just that I'm going to take the test and do my very best. Basically all they did was they directed me to the official page for Wizards of the Coast, what kind of things would be required. I asked what would be required of me to become a judge. And level 1 is just for the area that I'm in. It's not that difficult. I have to help officiate at least 1 tournament every 6 months, which means I can't play that tournament, but I'm fine with that. You know, I'm looking out for the community then. And so level 2 would have meant that I'd have to travel a little bit. I would be able to go up to, well, basically I have a couple 100 miles where I'd have to go one way or another and officially help run the tournament for different local gaming stores, which would be local over there. So yeah, but this means I'm actually trying, and it's pretty cool, I think. So yeah. And speaking of Magic, I'm working on more Tiny Leaders deck. It's a wonderful new format, and it's given me an idea that where I wanted to build Commander decks along the lines of the same format as Tiny Leaders, it was harder to build a deck around a specific theme since it was 100 cards. You have 99 different cards, like a practically 1% chance of getting any specific card in the match in a game. In Tiny Leaders, it's much easier because you can play multiples of things and you're likely to get them. In fact, since there's only 50 cards, it's less than a standard deck. Certain types of decks can actually stack easier to get a specific effect accomplished. Like green doesn't normally have creature removal, but because of Tiny Leaders and how that works, you have things like and I should have set this up a little easier, but I'm sorry. I had them all over here, but I had to grab them and move them around too quickly. Green doesn't normally get to deal with creatures that easily, but the way this works, green has more ways to deal with creatures, including what I'm about to show you, and then I have one more to show you that I didn't have set aside. And that is, yeah. I mean, there's the standard ones that people talk about since Scars of Mirrodin, and that's Beast Within. Being able to get rid of any permanent in exchange for giving them a 3/3 Beast token at instant speed is fantastic. Again, it gets rid of creatures. So a problematic leader like Anafunza, you can get Anafunza? Sinuses. Problematic leader like that, getting rid of them in favor of giving them a 3/3 creature, you at least got rid of Anafunza. But then you also have other cards like Utopia Vow from Planar Chaos, where basically the creature couldn't attack or block, but they could tap for 1 green mana, or 1 mana of any color. So it's pacifism for green. A nice way to get rid of a creature. Same as Lignify, turns it into a 0/4 Treefolk. And I love Lignify because it means the creature has no abilities but becomes a 0/4 Treefolk, so it can stop Avacyn, like Avacyn Angel of Hope. Yeah, suddenly instead of being everything is indestructible, now it's just an 0/4. But then we came up with Commander 2014, and that gave us Song of the Dryads. And although it's a little bit cheating, it's along the same lines as Utopia Vow, but this can target any type of permanent. So you can mess with their mana, you can mess with their planeswalkers, mess with their creatures. Normally green doesn't get this type of a thing, but there's so many good choices in Tiny Leaders format. And even Arachnus Web, which I have picked out, but I don't have it where I can get to it immediately. 2 and 1 green. Enchanted creature cannot attack, block, or use any of its activated abilities, but at the beginning of the end step, if its power is 4 or greater, you have to sacrifice Arachnus Web. That also takes care of a creature. I mean, so that's 5 creature removals in mono green, which means a mono green deck can deal with creatures very easily. So I'm building a mono green deck. Specifically, I wanted to go with a different form of Voltron using something anybody can get a hold of, Miri Cat Warrior. This is the old version from Stronghold, if I'm not mistaken. Very nice. First strike, Vigilance, what was at the time called attacking, just didn't let cause it to tap. But Forest Walk, which you think, Forest Walk doesn't do much, unless, of course, you turn something into a forest with Song of the Dryads. So yeah, and because I'm already talking about different decks, I finally want to take my commander that was an Infect commander deck and turn it into a Tiny Leaders Infect commander deck. I think that would be a nice challenge for the format. And if it got to be too powerful, well then it would be a good idea to keep one of those around, because then if somebody questions, says, well, why can't we play Infect? Say, well, here's a deck that plays Infect. How would you play against it and you tell us if it's too powerful? And then if it is, then they'll say, okay, I can see why you don't want to play Infect. But yeah, so those are my plans. And like I said, I'm going to try and upload a video of probably a Marath Will of the Wild deck, just showing you how it plays and what kind of combos it can do. But yeah. Wish me luck on getting to feel better. Take care, everybody. It's very nice seeing you guys again.